Welcome to You and Me Ranch. We are a first generation sheep grazing operation. We graze the sheep 365 days a year out on pasture. We don't have barns. We don't have hard fence. We don't have tractors here. We don't have corrals and handling systems. We pretty much have Gallagher electric sheep net that we can move every single day. We have buckets for water, and we have sheep. We don't have a medication schedule. We don't overly medicate our sheep. There is no need to do that. They only receive any kind of medical intervention if it's needed. So if they happen to injure themselves, or if they happen to get sick for some reason, we will treat them, absolutely. But we don't have any need to worm on a schedule or to give antibiotics on a schedule or anything like that. We give them the CDT vaccine and that's it. We move these sheep every single day, sometimes every other day, depending on conditions in their paddock. But for the most part, if they're in some decent forage, we'll move them every day. So we've been in this paddock for just part of a day. We came in here last night. We're moving them right now about twice a day. The ewes, that is, because we've been in some shorter grass, so the amount of forage that's in their paddocks is kind of minimal at the moment. So we've been moving them to make sure that they're getting enough to eat. We want to make sure they keep on putting on weight for winter time. And so here's Ricky. We got Ricky in here. Huh, Betty? You getting to know Ricky? Yep. And the big question with him was, is he too young at this point to do his job as a ram for us? And so we got some findings so far. We have seen him mount, what, 3 different ewes? Yep. So Diamond, Taggy was the first one. Then we saw Diamond, and then over here we got not Joy, this one, but this one right here, Heart. He's taken care of. So he's covered a few so far. You can definitely see he's a little bit more hesitant. I think a lot of it has to do with size, and part of it has to do with him just building up some confidence. He's been in the paddock with the big guy Chico, and then Chico's offspring. So Chico definitely favors his own offspring. When we introduced Ricky to him, he basically you know, rams do what they're supposed to do. They kind of put the other ones in check and make sure that they know that he's the big guy and that they need to be submissive to him. So he's used to being more submissive. So I'm sure once he's been in here with these guys for a while, he'll gain some confidence. I can already see him gaining some confidence. But so far so good. He's doing his job. As these girls go into heat, he's taking care of them. Our little oddball horned ewe right here, Rudy, she's mellowed out. Nobody's really trying to chase Ricky off anymore. She don't seem to care that he's in here. She's getting used to him. She's so funny. She's definitely an oddball sheep. She's a lot different than the rest of the ewes out here. There you go. He's gaining that confidence. try to keep an eye out here throughout the day and see if he's chasing anybody around, just so we can kind of put a note on the calendar of when he's getting each ewe covered if we happen to see. You're not always going to see everything, and we don't put a harness or anything like that on them. We don't put chalk or paint or anything on them, but I thought about doing that. Yeah, Joyce seems a little bit less friendly these days, but she's just getting a little bit older and she's still friendly. You just got to catch her at the right time, I guess. She's not always looking to be scratched, but she's still pretty mellow and still friendly, and you can still pet her. So this lean grazing system that we utilize here really helps us to keep costs down, and pretty much anybody can do it. If you're physically able to get up on your feet and get out into the pasture and move some fence and water and move their charger, anybody could pretty much do this system. It's a lot of observation, and you got to remain flexible with it, because there's going to be changes that happen on your pasture throughout the seasons and changes that happen with your sheep that you got to respond to. But as far as cost goes, this is the best way that I can see to get started doing this. Now, if you wanted to make a big investment and do perimeter fence and corrals and barns and all that, then that's up to you, but this is definitely not that type of a system. This is meant to be to give you maximum flexibility and be able to get started without a lot of cost, without a lot of waste. You know, we don't really have a need for a tractor every day. We don't have a need for a barn. We don't have a need for a perimeter fence, really. The cost of those things, especially now, is just outrageous. You can look for land that already has some of those things and probably find a good deal, but if that's not what you're trying to do, if you're not looking for that huge investment at the beginning, then this is possibly the system for you, as long as you're physically fit enough to get out and do some labor. And the reward is great. You know, getting out here with your sheep. Hi, what's going on? Getting out here with your sheep and kind of working them and not stressing them out though, and letting them get used to you. You know, they start to become pretty friendly. A lot of these sheep didn't let you ever touch them or anything, but now they're becoming so tame, they're pretty easy to deal with. They all know what the routine is. Every time I go to move them, I don't usually have an issue. You can with the lambs sometimes. The lambs can be a little bit challenging because they're just not trained as well. And especially if they're in an environment that's hard for them to see, kinda. If there's like taller grass and stuff, it can be a little bit of a challenge. But for the most part, once they figure the system out, everything just kind of works like clockwork. You know, even with Ricky there, we haven't had him that long. We got him this spring. I don't remember exactly when we got him, but we haven't had him too long. And he figured the system out right away. So we don't use any kind of chemical fertilizers or anything like that on our pastures. We just let the sheep do the work, and we mow when we need to. And we do experiments. We do try different things at different times of the year and with different parts of the pasture, and really got to observe what the outcome is, what your results are. But just as far as paddock size and shape and how often you move your sheep, it can have a big impact. You know, from the amount of forage that they actually consume in a small area, to the evenness of the manure dispersal, to how much ground they're scratching up and leaving bare dirt, to just all the different kind of things that you'd want to know about. And this lean grazing system does require some manual labor. You know, it does require your time, but it's pretty much the best kind of labor that you can do. You know, it's just good physical exercise, low impact, you know, moving this really lightweight fence around. And probably the heaviest thing that you got to do is handle the water. But other than that, it's pretty simple. It's great exercise, keeps you in good shape. And we're really excited to harvest one of the ram lambs this year. So we're excited to put some meat in the freezer. We're definitely going to do a video about that. Once we get to the point where we're ready to butcher, we're going to set up and do a good video showing you guys the meat quality, and we'll probably cook some. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We're definitely going to do a ram lamb harvest meat butchering video, and we'll probably do a process, and then we'll cook something. And it'll be our first time trying one of our own lambs, so that'll be really exciting to see how awesome the meat is that we're gonna get from doing all this work. You know, one of the most important parts of raising your own animals for food, is obviously the harvest. The reward, part of the reward definitely is seeing how healthy your animals are and seeing them get better and better over the years. And part of the reward too is being able to harvest and put meat in the freezer, and some really good meat. Not that weird stuff that you get from the store, but some actual really good grass-fed, pasture-raised, fully outdoors, 365 days a year, raised on pasture, birthed on pasture, stress-free animals. Now these two, especially this one right here, this one's Betty, and she's been kind of the alpha leader of the pack here. And then this one I'm petting right here, this one's Joy, and she's a Katahdin that was actually a last year's winter lamb. She came from a ewe that we bought that we didn't know was already bred, so she was a surprise. And we had a really harsh winter, but she did excellent. She did really, really good. And just seeing her now, that's why she looks probably a lot different than the rest of the sheep, because she came from a ram that wasn't ours, and so she just looks like a little Katahdin. But she's got this really, really thick coat. She looks like she's got the fur of a guard dog on her. It's crazy. And then this one here, that's JoJo. She's doing really good. She is the one that had twins, so she's a nice dorper. And she had twins, so it took a lot out of her to feed those twins, so she definitely lost some size nursing two lambs, but she's putting all that size back on, and we're making sure to move them so that they have non-stop food and trying to get as much in them before we get into the harsh part of winter as we can. This one didn't have a lamb, and this one right here didn't have a lamb, and she's just huge. So we're really hoping that she has a lamb this year. She is gigantic. She's the biggest ewe that we have for sure. And part of that's probably due to not having a lamb, but part of it's just because as she reached maturity, she's just huge. So I'd be really excited to see a lamb from her next spring. But all the rest of them had lambs. And they're all putting size back on. I think next year we will make sure to make sure that nobody's still nursing past the time when we'd want them to. You don't want them nursing them for so long that they lose too much body mass. I think maybe we kept the lambs in a little bit too long. But I'm not sure if that really made a difference or not, but they're all putting on their size really good now. And you can see Ricky's over here checking to see who's ready for a visit. We got our 3 ewe lambs right here. We got Daisy, Maya, and then Mary. They're doing really good. Now Mary, I always point her out because she's just an exquisite ewe lamb. The size of her face structure and her body size is just really, really good. It has been since she was born. I could tell she had just a really good, strong facial structure. So she's got great bone mass and great cartilage mass. And the other ones are super healthy and they're doing really well too, but she's just a notch above the rest of them. Now, this one right here, that's Mary's mom. I knew she was going to have a really nice lamb. I didn't know she was going to be that nice, though. Exciting to see what we get next year with the different genetics, adding Ricky, the Australian White Katahdin cross. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed what you saw, so you can make sure and get notifications to see more videos. Have a great day.